Greetings, Lotus family. Welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about mindset and what kind of mindset do you need to have to make a global move. I was talking to somebody about my move, and they were asking questions about what I did, how I did it, and all that. And then they started giving all the reasons why they couldn't do it. And I was like, wow, I was thinking to myself, you really got to do some work on your mindset before you can before you can take the steps even to begin a move like this, to just move globally, right, to another country. So I was like, let me just share a couple of things, looking into some information about mindset, and wanted to share with you these 5 points that I came across that I think are very valuable and for you to think about beginning your process to make that move. So first, let's be clear about when I talk about mindset, I'm talking about the set of beliefs and values and attitudes about yourself in the world around you. So those things that your values, those things that you grew up with, like how you see your world, how you make decisions, how you just move throughout the world. That's a mindset thing, right? And it's comprised of a lot of different things, but it creates our world, right? How we think about things, how we view it. Because then there's a perspective also of, is life happening to you or is life happening for you? And so that's what we first need to decide. How do we see the world? Are we reactive, or do we do preventive stuff to make things happen? Are we progressive? So thinking about that too. That's what I'm thinking when I'm talking about changing your mindset. It really is looking at all of those aspects of who you are and how you move, how you think about moving, and how you thinking. Like, are you one of those people that always think something bad is going to happen to you, or something always happens? Like, here it go, when it rains, it pours. Like all those things that we hear people say. Like, if you're using those mantras, that's the first thing we need to fix. But I'm going to get to that. That's mindset. A set of beliefs, values, and attitudes about yourself and the world around you. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about mindset. Number 1, challenge your limiting beliefs. How you change your mindset? Challenge those things that create limited experiences for you. We tell ourselves a lot of stories, and most of the time it's not based in fact, it's based in fear and motivated by fear. We tell ourselves a lot of stories about what we can do, about who we are, what we can't do. The first thing is we have to reframe, tell ourselves some different stories. We made up the stories, so we can change them. Tell yourself some different stories. We got to get some different stories. Our stories are not serving us. Our stories are keeping us stuck. Our stories are keeping us afraid. Our stories are keeping us right where we are. Our stories are not going to be what propel us to get to the next level or to the next place in life. So we got to start that here. We got to tell ourselves different stories. Make up some stories about the life you dream of, about that thing that seems so far-fetched. Use that story. Visualize that story in your life that seems impossible. Do that. Feed yourself that every day, that story, so that it becomes part of you internally. That the first thing we have to change our limiting beliefs. And we also have to forgive ourselves for the lies we told ourselves and the lies that have been told to us by others about us, right? We have to change that. So there's that. That's number 1. Challenge your limiting beliefs and write them down. Write down the things you believe about yourself. Write down some of your stories. Start to be conscious of the stories you tell yourself, because we do it it's so routine that we don't even think about it now that that's a part of the stories we're telling ourselves. But those belief systems are keeping us stuck. So we got to, number 1, challenge your limiting beliefs. Number 2, face your fears. I always start from what's the worst thing that can happen. And when I start wrapping my mind around what's the worst thing that can happen, I can get through that, then it doesn't matter. You just keep going. Like, okay, so that's what can happen. And once you see your way of how you can get around the worst thing that can happen, then what holds you back? Then there's no reason to stop. Like, okay, that's the worst thing can happen. Yes, that's true. But then how do I get around that? So do that. Face your fears. All the things that can happen that we dream of, blah, 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 blah. That. Don't spend a lot of time there, though, because there's always going to be something. Like, face your fears, but do it with your fear. There's no way you're not going to make this kind of mindset change or change, period, without it feeling uncomfortable. Because that thing that has kept us stuck is very comfortable. We know what that is. So do something that's going to change that mindset. Do something that gets you out of that fear. You just got to move through the fear. On the other side of fear is everything you want. So just move through it. It's going to be scary. It's going to be uncomfortable. Know that going in and just keep moving. You will survive it. You will survive it, and you'll be so happy that you did. Face your fears is 2. Number 3, replace those fears with some empowering thoughts. Give yourself some thoughts, some energy around what could happen. We know what the fear is, What's the other end of that? What's on the other end of that spectrum of fear? Use some empowering thoughts to get you to the next thing. Also to move through the fear. Like what's going to be on the other side? Once I get through this, think of that, how you visualize that life you want. Look at that as the thing that empowers you. Number 3, shift your perspective. Perspective is everything. Again, it's how you see it. What lens do you see the world through? Remember how people used to say, oh, you looking through that through rose-colored lenses, like you only see the good stuff? That serves you on some level, right? It's not that you're not looking at reality, but we now tend to, if you're constantly bombarded with negativity through the news, through shootings, killings, like all the bad things that are happening, the terrorist activities that are happening in the States, all those things that are happening, if that's constantly the way you see the world, how is that ever going to be empowering? How are you ever going to see the positive when you're bombarded with that? So you have to allow yourself to shift your perspective and allow some positivity in and look at things through a different lens. We tend to look at things all or nothing. Mindset change and change, any kind of change happening usually in small increments. And so mindset is no different. But you have to start somewhere. I just want to encourage you today to just get started and to become conscious of your thoughts, your values, your attitudes about a thing. Because if you can't look at it for what it is, you can never change it to make it better. So look at what your fears are. Face those fears. Write them out. Then cross them off one by one. Write them out and then tell yourself a different story about that fear. Because we have stories about why we can't do things. Write that story out. Write that fear out. Tell yourself and then create a different story about what you can do with that fear. It happens in all very small increments, but it happens. But that just has then piled up on us, and then it's hard to move through it. You have to also agree to not stay in your comfort zone. Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable, because change happens when you're uncomfortable. It doesn't happen when you're in that uncomfortable space. Allow yourself to get uncomfortable. Change how you look at things. Change your perspective. When how you see the world changes, the world you see will change. Looking differently changes your perspective. Allow yourself to find people that are where you want to be. So when you're around people who already are living the life you want to live, feed yourself that so it allows you to visualize it different. If it's YouTube videos, do that. If there's nobody in your circle that you can find that reflects your mindset of where you want to change to, look at people who are doing it, even if it's not true or not. But to visualize that life, to see it helps you visualize it and imagine it for yourself. So see yourself in those places and spaces that you want to be in. If it currently does not exist in your circle, then find you one, even if it's on YouTube or videos or wherever you find it. Just find it. 1, challenge your limiting beliefs. 2, face your fears. 3, shift your perspective. 4 is change your self-talk. Again, I talked a little bit about this in number 2, facing your fears and those stories. But 3, change your self-talk. Our self-talk is the most critical, it's the most unloving betrayal of ourselves that we can get. It really betrays us daily. Start your day with some positive self-talk and start to become conscious of your self-talk. How critical is your self-talk? That inner voice. Is it loving? Is it encouraging? Is it saying, girl, you could do it? Or it's like, you know you can't do that. You ain't never going to be nothing. And was never nothing. Your father was nothing. All that. All that self-talk you may have heard coming up as a child or sort of things that made you believe that. That's the information you received from what you experienced. That self-talk is critical. We got to change our self-talk because that also sets you up for the day. So if you begin your day with some positive talk, focus on your language, on the words you use. Never use negativity after I am. I am stupid. I am slow. I am this, whatever. Never use negative statements because that's a proclamation. Like you say, I am something. It almost is. Our words are very powerful. So be very careful what you use after the words I am. Use positive thoughts when you're describing yourself. Well, this is not whether you believe it or not. We're going to say it until we believe it, until it becomes eternally part of who we are. So just keep saying it. That's what affirmations are for. Affirmations are not something, thoughts that you immediately believe, but we aspire to be. So use those words that describe who you want to be. Begin your self-talk. Change your mantras. Stop using those mantras that keep you dead. Use some mantras that give you life. Again, surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. Number 5, get support. This is not something that's easily done on your own. Get support outside of you. Somebody else who can see where you're trying to go, that can encourage you, give you steps to get there, to continue the process, whether that be a coach, a therapist, some spiritual leader, whoever you get support from. Get support, tell them what you're trying to do and that you need help in your mission to get to the other side of this. But to make a move, to have a meritor mindset, to have a global mindset, wherever you want to go, it takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. Start your process now. You can make the physical things happen. You can sell all your stuff and be ready to go and come here and be miserable because you have not changed anything about your mindset. Still coming here thinking negatively about yourself. Still coming here with your paranoia. Whatever you come with, work that out. Work on your mindset. Work on your negative self-talk. Work on the stories you tell yourself. Create new stories that give you life, because there's life here to live that is going to work for you and not against you. So work on that. So I just wanted to drop those tidbits with you today about a meritor mindset, a global mindset. Get that. Do it. Do the work. I will list out these 5 steps again so that you can get started. Just a place to start. It's just a place to start. But start somewhere on your mindset. You got to do it. All right, so that, because once your mind starts the action, then your behavior will follow, right? If your mind doesn't set it up, the behaviors will continue to be those same raggedy behaviors we've been doing that get you nowhere. Walking in circles, thinking I can't leave because I got to take care of what my mom and them going to do, whoever going to do. What are you going to do for you? All that will follow, but set the action in place in your mind. The behavior can follow that. If you look now what your behavior is doing, it's because what is your mind setting up? So work on your mindset, all right? That's all I want to talk about today. So let's do that. Let's get to it. Get about your plan for you. I put you at the center of your plan, always. Change that self-talk. Change those stories we tell ourselves. Get some new stories. Some stories are played out, and they're not serving you at all. So just stop it. Just stop it. There's so much better waiting for you. I want you to get it because you deserve it. And why not? Why not? And if not now, when? When you going to do it? Now is the time. Let's get to it. All right, so I will see you on the next upload, and holler at me if you want to talk more. You know what to do. I'll put the link. The link is down here in the details. So let's do it. And I will see you on the next upload. Peace and light.